Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, when I retire from this job, I think I'm going to clean mirrors for a living. I could see myself doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 games that you can play in under an hour. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now there's a lot of games that potentially you can play in less than an hour, and it kind of, or a game that's like right about an hour. I was looking here specifically for games that play in under an hour. Could be 15 minutes, could be, 50 minutes. But I didn't want games that actually hit right there at an hour. I wanted games that consistently come in at under an hour. And of course, I'm ranking these by how much fun I have with them. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it. My number 10 is from Worthington Games. This is Pacific War Solitaire. Now, this, of course, is a solitaire game, as the name would imply. But it's kind of like a reverse States of Siege game. You have various tracks leading toward Japan. You're the United States and the other allies as you're trying to battle your way toward Japan along those tracks. It's very luck heavy. You're using dice to roll dice to advance along the tracks, to fortify yourself or to reinforce yourself, rather, and to conduct naval battles. And then there's also events that can come into play during the game. It's really a lot of fun. It's a very simple game to learn and to play, and I don't think I've ever played a game that was more than a half an hour. It's usually more like 20 minutes. But it's a very fun solitaire war game that moves pretty quickly. So that is my number 10 from Worthington Games. This is Pacific War Solitaire. My number 9 is General Orders World War II from Osprey Games. This is a David Thompson design, and this is a game that is actually a worker placement World War II game. It's not a war game in the conventional sense, although many war gamers might like it because of the theme. But I think Eurogamers would really get a kick out of this because it is fundamentally a worker placement game where you place your little cylinders, kind of determines what actions you're going to take and how you're going to move. It's a very fun game. It's got kind of two different boards on it, kind of one with air power, one without. There's cards you can play too that kind of add to it. It's really a fun little game, and this one is about a half an hour. I think I've played a few games, and I don't think any of them have been longer than a half an hour. Super fun, little tight game, and a great game for, as I say, playing in under an hour. So that is General Orders World War II. That is from Osprey Games. That is my number 9. My number 8, it's actually a family of games, and I'm going to choose the best representation, my favorite representation of that game. I'm going to say from AEG, Batman Love Letter. Now, Love Letter is a great game, and I just love the Batman version of it, just for the aesthetic. But it's a great game where you have one card, and on your turn, you draw a card, and then you have to play one of those cards. Super simple, super easy. And when I played this two-player, or I played this with multiple players, I've never played a game of this that lasted more than an hour. Usually, you're looking anywhere from 10 minutes to maybe 40 minutes if you've got, more players. But it is always a lot of fun. I love this game. It's a quick game. It's a brief game. And it's, as I say, great fun. And I love the Batman theme. So that is number 8 from AEG. That is Batman Love Letter. My number 7 from Indie Boards and Cards is Coup. I think Coup is outstanding. Coup is a great game of bluff and double bluff. In fact, I would say, as far as card games go, and maybe even just games in general, this is one of, if not my favorite, bluffing game that is just about the bluff. And you essentially can claim, you've got 2 cards, you can claim one of them is a specific card that gives you a certain ability. People can call you on it. Wait a second, that's not your card. And if it is, they lose one of their cards. If it isn't, you lose one of your cards. So it's great fun. And again, it's quick. I don't think you play games of this that last more than 20, 30 minutes tops. That is Coup. That is from Indie Boards and Cards, and that is my number 7. My number 6 is a game that I just played fairly recently, just a few months ago for the first time. I played it several times since. This is Sky Team from Scorpion Mask. Sky Team is a great game where you're a pilot and a co-pilot attempting to land an aircraft. And as you're attempting to land the aircraft, you're rolling dice. And you've got kind of an instrument panel, and you're rolling dice, and once you start rolling dice, you can't talk, you can't share information. And you're placing the dice, you kind of have to have an airspeed that's fast enough that you're going to advance. You kind of have to have, your artificial horizon. You want to put the same number of dice there so that you can steady that. And you got to put the flaps down, the landing gear, the brakes. You got to clear traffic in front of you. all sorts of really, really good decisions you got to make in this game that you don't know what the other guy's got. And sometimes you just got crappy rolls, and but it's fun. I really love Sky Team. So as I say, this is I just played it recently, but it's already become one of my favorite games. This is Sky Team. That is my number 6, and that is from Scorpion Mask. My number 5 is a great game. You need at least 3 players, but I like it better with 4 or more. This is QE, Quantitative Easing. This is from BoardGameTables.com. And this game is amazing. Essentially, it's an auction game, which normally I'm not a fan of, but I really like this one. What it is one player is going to auction off a commodity, which is worth points at the end of the game. And they can say it's worth this much money. This is where our starting bid is. It can be any dollar amount. Every other player on a dry erase board writes what they're bidding. Whoever bids the most wins that commodity. They gain those points. Sounds simple enough. But at the end of the game, whoever bid the most loses. So it's a delicate balancing act. And this is a game I would definitely say you need to play with the expansion, which also adds in commodities, which can allow you to reduce your total dollar amount, hopefully making it so that you could still potentially win. Great game, great fun. Every time I've played this, I've had a blast, and my friends have, and it's a short game. Again, about a half hour usually. Wonderful game. QE, I highly recommend it. That is from that is from BoardGameTables.com. That is my number 5. My number 4 from Capstone Games, this is Watergate. This is such a fun game with a great historical theme. One of you is the Nixon administration, one of you are the journalists, and it's kind of you're kind of playing cards, and there's a bit of a tug of war there. But essentially, what you're trying to do is, if you're the journalist, you're trying to connect Nixon to certain factors off the board, certain people off the board that can corroborate, any wrongdoing. And if you're Nixon, you're trying to obfuscate that. You're trying to make sure that those connections don't get laid. But the card play here, you're doing it. It's kind of a CDG where you can play for the points or you can play for the event. It's almost like a mini Twilight Struggle in that sense. But it is so much fun. It's a great game, and it's quick. Again, maybe 45 minutes tops, but I don't think I played many games that went that long. It is a super, super fun game. That is Watergate. That is from Capstone Games, and that is my number 4. My number 3 is another war game, and this can be played either solitaire or with someone else. I prefer it with someone else, but I think it's a pretty good solitaire game too. This is W1815 by Up Games. This is about the Battle of Waterloo. You have a number of cards. Of course, you are activating the cards who represent your figures on the board. You're rolling die in attacks, trying to move back and forth to destroy the enemy, to break their formations and whatnot. But it's a good, solid war game, but it is incredibly quick. Plays incredibly fast. I would say the average game of this is 20 minutes, and it's a tense, long 20 minutes because you are really sweating it. This is a super fun game. I love it because you get really, I think, the full Waterloo experience in this really super tight package. I absolutely love W1815. I love games about the Battle of Waterloo. It's one of my favorite battles to game out, and this one does such a tremendous job in such a tight, quick package. This is W1815 from Up Games, and that is my number 3. My number 2 is a game that came out last year, but they actually just came out with a new iteration of it not too long ago, about a month or two ago. This is Star Wars: The Deck Building Game. Star Wars: The Deck Building Game from Fantasy Flight Games is the original game is the OT. They just came out with the Clone Wars edition. And what you're doing in this game is, of course, in the original game, one of you is the Empire, one of you is the Rebels, and you can buy cards from the lineup, but you can also attack your opponent's cards in the lineup. But you have bases, and you're trying to be the first one to destroy 3 bases of your enemy. And if you can destroy 3 bases of your enemy, every time you destroy a base, you get the enemy gets to pick a new base, and the new base, depending on where they're at in the game or what they're hoping to accomplish, they can pick a different base that gives them a different ability, and it is so much fun. This game is more fun than it has any right to be, and on average, I say it's about a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half hour per game. It is quick. I love, love, love Star Wars: The Deck Building Game from Fantasy Flight Games. It is amazing, and that is why it is my number 2. Okay, friends, my number 1 game in under an hour. This game, I would say, on average, is between 20 and 30 minutes. And not only is this my favorite less than an hour game, I would say it's my favorite less than an hour game by a long shot. I love Star Wars the deck building game, but this game just blows, in my opinion, every other game on this list out of the water. That's how much fun it is. The only downside is you need 8 people to play it. Exactly 8 people. You can play with less and still have something of the experience, but you really want to have the full 8. This, of course, is Captain Sonar. Captain Sonar is a real-time submarine game. It's like Battleship, but as I say, it's real-time. You've got a captain, who's issuing orders, you've got the sonar man, you've got the first officer who's managing stuff, and then you've got the engineer. And you're all working together as a team against the opposing team of those same roles. And you've got a big board in between you, but you're moving, and you are trying to locate your enemy. You're trying to shoot your enemy with torpedoes, or trying to lay mines. It is so intense because it's real time. You can't play a turn-based version. It's all about the real-time, baby. I love this game. Captain Sonar is, I remember the first time I played it, I wasn't expecting that much from it, honestly. I thought, oh, okay, well, we'll play it. You know, I think Asmodee had sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, we'll play it. We'll see how it plays. And everybody was just like, oh, this game is so good. I remember we played that in October, and it was October of 2016. Wow, so that's 8 years ago? Wow, long time ago, the first time we played it. I played it many times since. I love Captain Sonar, one of my great higher player count games. And whenever we get together to play it, you can play, 4 or 5 games because, like I say, it's 20 minutes to a half an hour. Love Captain Sonar. From Matagot, that is my #1 board game that plays in less than an hour. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Do you like the games on my list? Do you not like the games on my list? What games would you put on your favorite games that play in less than an hour? I'm very eager to hear. I always like to hear the feedback here. I would humbly ask you to go ahead and like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. We love that. And then check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We love to hear from you there and see what you think of what we do. Also, if you are a fan of the channel, check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history, fun things like that. I even post some of my lectures on that channel. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to that channel as well. And also, too, ladies and gentlemen, if you like the kind of content we bring to you on this channel, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, the other day, I just couldn't figure out how to get my car into reverse. I needed a better backup plan.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
Hey, I'm just sitting here at my piano, and I wrote a little song for you guys. I'm not going to sing it because it's not very good.